Welcome to the Registered Investment Advisor Podcast, where financial services marketing expert Seth Green interviews experts, executives, and top producers to share can't-miss tips on how they successfully manage their financial service firms, grow their businesses, create great relationships, and influence the industry. And now, here's your host, Seth Green.
Welcome to the RIA podcast. This is your host, Seth Green. Today, I've got the good fortune to be with Alynn Godfroy, a leading financial retirement specialist in Southwestern Ontario. She is also the author of Retire on Purpose, a financial blueprint to protect your family and preserve your wealth. Her passion is educating Canadians about their finances through her YouTube channel, Facebook page, regular newsletters, and website. Alynn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get into the business in the first place?
20 years ago, I was at a wedding show and I met a gentleman that ended up doing my first mortgage. I purchased a life insurance policy to insure the mortgage and had done some investing, and went in for a review and sounded like an interesting job. I was just finishing my Bachelor of Commerce degree. I had decided that I didn't want to be a chartered accountant like I had originally planned when I started university, and did an aptitude test. And here I am still plugging away 20 years later. So,
well, obviously the longer version of that story people can find in the book. Who is an ideal client for you?
Somebody that is retired or within 5 to 10 years of retirement, trying to figure out, have I put away enough money, between government pensions, a group pension? Do I have enough money that I can sustain myself for the rest of my life? That's the group that I really enjoy working with the most.
And you have branded yourself a little bit differently. You call yourself a financial architect. Can you talk a little bit about how you came up with that and what that means to you?
I see so many times that people just have a portfolio. They have a bunch of investments, but it doesn't have any meaning. There's nothing to really map out where they are going to go, how people are going to decumulate their assets. So just like when you're building a house, you need to have a plan. So having a blueprint for retirement is important, because the last thing somebody wants to do is retire and then realize, gee, I can't actually afford to retire. Now I have to re-enter the workforce and figure out, how do I get that job paying me, the $40 or $50 an hour that I used to make? Now that I'm re-entering the workforce, it's easier to stay perhaps another year or two if that's what you need to do. So helping people to create a plan is really what's most important.
Absolutely. What are some of the biggest mistakes you find that people are making when it comes to their retirement planning?
A few different things, and just having all of their money in one retirement account, which can become problematic. In Canada, we pay much higher taxes than you do in the United States. So I find there's times where people have too much money in registered funds, and it can create themselves a really big tax problem down the line. We prepare taxes for our clients, so we're able to help them with that planning. So that'd be one. The other thing is just relying just on government pensions. If someone has worked and lived in Canada for most of their life, they're eligible for government pensions of about $25,000 per year, which, with our rising cost of living, it's not necessarily enough for everybody to live comfortably. So that's another area I find people lacking, is not saving enough money.
Absolutely. And how do you mentioned taxes, which obviously being able to do both the taxes and the financial plan gives you an advantage. Talk a little bit about how you're kind of offering that suite of services to clients, because you kind of built almost like a mini family office model, doing multiple things under one roof.
Mm-hmm. So just being able to show people. So I talk in my book, I have a couple that I met with last year, and I've known these people for about 15 years. And they said, Alynn, can you take a look? Yeah. We want a second opinion on what we're doing. And when I did a mock tax return to say, okay, let's imagine that you're retired, and how it works in Canada, on the first $15,000 of income anybody makes, you don't pay tax. There's a magical age here, which is 65, where the government gives you an extra benefit, which is almost $8,400, and then you get a pension credit. So when you show somebody when they're 65 years old, they can make about $25,000 before they have to pay any tax. And then when you look at all of the deductions that comes off your paycheck, there are people going to work. So in this particular case, I figured out this couple, the wife is going to work for $44 a month. So she could have left her job, taken her work pension, her Canada pension, her old age security, and with all of the deductions coming off for taxes, paying into her group plan, union dues, $44 a month, which I'm sure she paid more than that for gas in her car. And there's a couple of examples like that I use. Guaranteed there are dozens of people, driving to work every day in my city, if not hundreds, that are going to work for next to nothing.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. And obviously, good thing they've got you to help them solve that problem. How did you come up with the retire roadmap? Because you turned retire into an acronym.
Yeah, I guess it's just one of those things that we look at all of the process that we take clients through, and just wanted something that would be sort of catchy that people can remember. Financial planning, it can be complex, but we can also help people to simplify it to make sure that they're measuring off all of the things that they need to do to retire comfortably.
Absolutely. How are clients finding you?
How are they finding us? So in the city that I live in, I have the most Google reviews by far in our area. So people are looking for, if you Google financial advisor in Windsor, most of my new business comes from referral. You do a good job for clients. They tell their friends and family about you. So that's definitely been a great source of new clients for me.
Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
Being able to tell people they can retire. So back to that lady at the $44, if I could have had a video camera and known what her reaction was going to be, this woman just stared at me dumbfounded. I don't know if you remember, there used to be that V8 commercial where like the people are walking around. It's like, I could have my vegetables, and they got bonked in the head. It's like, you could have talked to a financial advisor that actually knows how to do a tax return and do tax planning, not just keep going to, one of the big 5 banks that are available in Canada and just here's your investment portfolio and see you next year. It's doing the actual planning and laying out the numbers in a clear, concise way that people can understand. That's my favorite part of my job, is being able to tell people that you can actually retire. And now this woman's retired, enjoying a summer with her grandkids. I see her posts on Facebook all the time, and she is living life and not in a very stressful job too. So, and just seeing that many more people being able to do that is just, I enjoy it. It's my favorite part of my job.
That is a beautiful thing. You've achieved so much success, not only for your firm, but more importantly for your clients. What's your biggest challenge now?
My biggest challenge? Just, I still have time. We have a very efficient, well-oiled machine. I've had the same assistant working for me for 16 years. So just getting in front of more people, right? Showing more people. So we're doing, we have a partnership with our local libraries where we go in and do education. It's like, you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't have an actual articulated plan, and it shows when you can actually retire, then getting a second opinion from a financial advisor that will do an actual tax plan and a retirement plan. So my biggest challenge is not having enough people to see to run those numbers for them, because I'm sure there's tons more people driving around in our city going to work for next to nothing.
Absolutely. What inspired you to write the book?
Well, just a few of these scenarios where, I had another couple that they work as municipal employees for the city I work or live in. And I said, I bet you're going to work for a couple $100 a month. They said, no way. I said, listen, I don't care if you don't want to be my client or not. I at least want you to leave my office knowing that you can retire comfortably. So same thing, did a mock tax return, laid out all the information. And sure enough, these people were going to work for $200 a month. So just being able to lay that out and show that to people is huge, showing those numbers.
How did the pandemic affect your business?
Honestly, it was great for my business. And the reason, unfortunately, people were more mindful of the fact that they could die, right? So we sold a lot of life insurance. We became much more efficient. I was always, a pen and paper application, comfortable with that. I really had to get out of my comfort zone, learning how to use Zoom, learning how to do online applications. The investment companies that I work with all had to get really sharp and proficient really quickly with doing online applications. And I love to meet with my clients in person, but it's also nice to just do a quick Zoom meeting to show people how their funds are doing. So it's really helped to accelerate my business, actually.
Well, congratulations on that. It's been an industry trend. Has the pandemic affected the way you manage money at all?
Good question. No, I think I'm really managing money the same way, but more of the focus since we've come out of the pandemic is inflation and people pacing with inflation. And the number of people just keeping gobs of money in bank accounts, not paying anything, just trying to educate people that there are alternatives. We have access to high interest savings accounts that pay more money. So I think my focus has just been a little bit more on making sure everybody has a rainy day fund, because clearly nobody saw that coming, and people being out of work for some time. So my focus has shifted a little bit in that respect.
That makes a lot of sense. You wrote a book. Any plans for others in the future?
Yeah, I'm sure. You know what? I probably could write 10 more books. I guess the key is just a matter of, narrowing down the focus. I do think I will write an estate planning book. My father-in-law just passed away a week and a half ago. And it's been, and I talk to people every day about, death and dying as part of the process and what people want to have happen. So my lens has changed a little bit, just watching, what my family's gone through, and things were pretty well organized and planned. But I think we can all still do a little bit more, even though we think we have everything taken care of. I still think there's little tweaks that we can make. So I think my next book would be a little more estate planning focused.
What are some of the books that you've read that have inspired you?
Oh gosh, so many. I don't even know where to start. I love Brendan Burchard. I've read a few of his books. Wow, good question. I just reread Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect. So just making small incremental changes every single day. So, in my type of work, obviously we have to provide good client service, but I always, challenge myself to say, okay, what can I do that's a little bit more to make a client's life a little bit easier? So that's one that I've really been focusing on. If you're listening to this and you're an advisor, there's things that you can do to be a good advisor, but you can just make little extra efforts to be a great advisor. So that's something that I'm really focusing on right now.
That is beautiful. For our folks who are watching or listening and want to learn more, where is the best place for us to send them to get the Retire on Purpose book and to learn more about you?
So my book is available on Amazon. It's an international best-selling book, or you can go to my website and actually request a free copy, and we'll email a copy to you. And my website is Godfroy, Godfroy, financialgroup.com.
All right. Well, we greatly appreciate your time. We know it's incredibly valuable. This has been Seth Green for the RAA podcast. Alynn, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.